debate, uncut, and after show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation first and foremost to new Patreon Survive the Spin, Effie Patriot, Steve, On the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Canna Bear, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Amish Battle Merch, Sensual Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod the Name's Burley, Twodwazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Mel's 24, Unimento, Iron 26, Endless, Goldie McKiernan, Retro Bill, Level Playing Poem, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon are below this video. With that, I'll hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Not much. Just had a shower, my morning shower, and I'm about to do some stuff today, so I'm gonna be away for maybe 45 minutes, an hour.
Yeah, I'm rejuvenated as well, dude. I was on a death drive. I was delirious last night. Needed some rest. Feel a lot better today.
I remember one time I was doing a lot of driving, and I needed some sleep. And what happened was, as I was driving, all of a sudden it felt like white paint was being slapped across my vision. It all went like white or something like that, like somebody just splattered paint all over it.
How
And then I
many hours you
snapped right to it.
talking?
What's that?
How many hours constitutes a long drive?
I didn't keep track, but that was like I never got to that point before, and I know I went a long time before in my life without sleep, and that never happened to me. But that time it happened to me, and I was like right there and then. That's it. I'm pulling over and I'm heading into the next motel I see, and that's what I did.
No, what happens? What
how many
happens
hours
to
was
me
yours,
is I
Neil?
start to see people walking across the highway.
The longest drive I did was from Germany. It was about 18 hours. And for a fair old stint of it, I had my boss sat next to me, encouraging me to drive faster. But after I dropped him off at the southernmost tip of the country, I then just immediately drove home. And I got within 1 mile of home, maybe a little bit further, on the outside edge of my town. And I overtook someone on a very straight, very fast road and got pulled over by the police after an 18-hour drive. They're like, are you drunk? I'm like, no. And they're like, well, you overtook that guy at 80 in a 60. Well, great. So I thought, there's no way I'm going to tell them I've just been driving for 18 hours solid. I was just like, just keep your mouth shut, don't say anything, take the ticket.
Nah, but see, I've done that, and I've told them, I'm driving a long time, and I just want to get home, and they let me go. Same thing happened to me. I do 18 hours on the regular, but I must say, after 6 hours is when my eyes start to twitch, and I start seeing like people.
I wouldn't even attempt it these days. When I was doing it, I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And, you know, that's what I did. And I've been doing it for a long time. I was very into driving. So I could do that. I wouldn't even attempt it now. No way. I'd split
Same
that
here.
up
I was
into
like
so many sections now. I'd be taking hotels at various different... No, I just wouldn't do it.
same here. I was like 21 when I did that. I did a lot of driving.
Houston, Colorado, it took me 20 hours.
Nothing like bullcrap internet, huh?
Like, what?
Neil's just moaning
I
about
was
his
in the
internet.
middle of saying something, and my internet just dropped out.
Indeed. Speaking of which, I'm hoping to get my gigabit internet today. 1100 Mbps download speed.
Now, how does that work?
Really, really, really fast internet.
No, but I'm saying you got your show, you're running your show. They're just going to do it while the show's on, and it won't interfere.
Say again?
So they're just gonna work on it while you got your show running, and it won't interfere.
There won't be a they. It'll just arrive, and I'll put it in.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, but that's a fairly involved task. So all of the internet cables run up behind the computer. So that means I've got to move a bass strap, a 40 hertz bass strap out of the way, along with my chair, put a Lego brick with a table on top of it so I can twist the computer to about a 45-degree position, snap off the back plate that's got all the cables running in it, bit of conduit, remove the old power cable for the old router, replace that power cable with a new power cable, and replace the router. That'll probably take an hour or two, maybe longer. Depends if something goes wrong. But yeah, fortunately it didn't come before the show, otherwise I'd be doing it now and there'd be no show.
How about a delayed show? If that happens, you just delay the show. But it didn't, so let's not even talk about it.
I mean, I'd want to test it, so, you know, I might have a members show. That would be that's your best sort of halfway house. You're stressing everything as much as it would be. But you want to know that you've got a solid internet connection, and it's embarrassing if a live show goes down. That's the last thing you want. It doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. Yeah, I'd want to test it.
Hold on,
first.
Brian.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Nathan. Hey, everyone.
Hello. Give it another couple of generations and I'll want to replace this computer. It's been 2 solid years of non-stop hassle with it. It's never really quite been right, as you well know. Every little update causes it to be upset. So the most recent update was a graphics card driver, and I uploaded the graphics card driver and everything just stopped working. So everything's going wrong suddenly and you're like, oh, bloody hell. So then you go back into the graphics card and start retuning it, turning it right down and dialing it all back, and you're like, I've been doing this for 2 friggin' years.
You would have been better off if the money would have just been given to you and you would have just bought your own computer.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in the end, to get it to the point where it's not constantly breaking on a daily basis and just constantly irritating has taken a couple of years. And I did at some point with one of my patrons' assistants financially get the money to buy the correct components to make this particular computer work. Now, had that been the case from day one, it would have still been just as fussy now, do you know what I mean? But I'd have no excuses. So although it still does irritating things regularly, it does work. But give it another year, maybe a couple of years, and I'll just be thinking, if it's still like, I'm still fiddling with this stupid thing, it's just like, nah, it's all 3-4-year-old parts now, so justified in doing a crowdfunding or whatever I'll do to raise the money. Hopefully I won't need to. I'll be earning a bit more money. I could just buy one myself, you know what I mean? But notwithstanding, at some point, no doubt I'll want to get rid of it because it's irritating and has been for 2 years. It has had. Let me just list off what this computer has had. Let me just count them off. It has had 10 sticks of RAM. It has had 3 different hard drives. So it's got other hard drives in it, but it's had 3 that were replacements for ones that have gone wrong because they've been cooked. 10 RAM, 3 hard drives. It's had 3 graphics cards, 2 motherboards, 3 CPUs, and about 30 different fans.
Wow.
Yep. It has had thousands of pounds poured into it. And it was started off life at a time when everything was in short supply because of COVID, and the supply chain was terrible. So all the components that it originally started with were drastically overpriced to begin with. And it performs like an average mid-range PC. It doesn't. I'm sure it probably performs better than an average mid-range PC, but you know what I'm getting at. It's not like it's got an exceptionally good graphics card in it or anything like that. If someone were like, what's the spec? They'd be like, oh, that's all right. Yeah, exactly. It's just all right. Not that I should be complaining. There's plenty of people out there with far worse computers, I'm sure. They're just probably a lot more reliable.
Not to change. Sorry, not to change the subject, but I don't think we should pay any more attention to that trip, whatever it is. I think we should just leave it alone and not even give it any more airtime.
Oh, I don't mind giving it airtime. Every time it comes up, I was just discussing this about 20 minutes ago with Brian, just by pure coincidence. When it comes up, we cover the same thing every time, though, don't we? It's an affirming the consequent for globe. It's an affirming the consequent for flat Earth. They're stacked up in false dichotomy. And maybe the bit that we're covering in terms of, look, we see this as a scam. We see this as fraud. We've laboured the point enough. When it comes up again, we'll just go over the same exact points. No, it's not an experiment. It's fraud. It seems to be a methodology of gleaming money via crowdfunding for an event that's been doubled in price versus the cost it would seem to appear to take to get one individual down there at about 15k. Then you've got multiple 30k crowdfundings that have been upped by the crowdfunder to sometimes 40k. You're like, this is craziness. We're talking about tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars that could potentially be plumbed into this, affirming the consequent fraud that's claimed to be an experiment. So that summary is only as concise as it is because we've covered it several times. Should we cover it again, I'll say the same thing again. No worries. It'll just be a little bit more concise next time. Take 50 seconds instead of 1 minute and 10. Bit I was talking about with Brian, it does actually link into what I was just talking about with crowdfunding and computers, because this computer, although initially it was bought by one individual who wanted to buy me a very specific computer, all of the parts that have gone into it subsequently were crowdfunded. Now, initially, the guy did actually buy a couple of sticks of RAM and indeed a graphics card, which I sent back to him because it also wasn't compatible. It didn't seem to work correctly. So that got sent back to him. But he plumbed so much money. I feel really bad saying how crappy it is. It is. I can't bullshit about it, but it is. But when someone plumbed like $6,000 into a computer that sat next to me because of the chip shortages and the COVID chip shortages, you feel quite bad when it just doesn't do a good job for a huge chunk of wedge. Well, thinking about it, if it was the case that when Will Duffy made videos, because he didn't contact me personally and speak to me and ask if I wanted to go and then get me to say no and then move forward with that. He just made a video and then listened to my responses on live streams without actually talking to me personally. But if he'd have offered me a free ticket and it turned out like with his golden ticket to be a hoax, then the situation would now be my community would be asked by Will Duffy to crowdfund my trip to Antarctica. That's what would currently be happening. Now, as I was discussing with Brian, that could be crippling to me. When anything breaks, I am on a knife edge financially and cannot afford to fix anything at all. Literally. It only takes one thing to break and suddenly I'm screwed, and everyone knows it. However, the support that I receive means that doesn't cripple me. People will say, what do you need? Here you go. And I say, thank you, and get on with work. That's how it typically goes. Now, if for the sake of argument, over a period of, say, 3 months, 4 months, every single time anybody's inclined to help me because my name's attached to this crowdfunding that's potentially run by somebody that isn't even me. Suddenly, maybe Will Duffy's running a crowdfunding with my name above it to get me to Antarctica, as I'd agreed to go for free. And now my community that would typically help me out if need be are all encouraged to give a crowdfunding campaign money to get me to Antarctica, where I was initially thinking I was going for free, but it turns out I'm not. That would be the scenario based on the current situation. So like, all right. So then what happens after 5 months when I go, oh, actually my overhead projector's broken and I need that to function? And the crowdfunding people that would typically be supportive go, I've just dumped 500 quid on you going to Antarctica. I'm wiped out. I can't afford to give you any more money. You go, understandable. But that means there's no show. So what do we do now? Because I'm not going to get any support because it's all gone to Will for his campaign to get people on two sides of an opposing argument to go to Antarctica together and mobilizing both of their respective groups and communities to crowdfund money that will go to a pot that he's controlling. Well, I wouldn't want that to be the scenario. Thank Jesus I didn't get involved with this shady character, Will Duffy, because every dime that any of my community I've built over the last 10 years that was going to be potentially coming my way if I needed to crowdfund something would all be currently flowing in Will's direction, wouldn't it?
Well, that's very likely.
And wouldn't they love to end flat Earth debate? It'd be parties if the show ended.
Yeah.
I just put a diagram in Master B for you there, Nathan, just to help you out when you need to use a diagram.
Oh, thank you very much. Pitch, right?
Yeah, I amalgamated it with a diagram I had made for the presentation.
Hey, you love begging that globe question, don't you?
Well, no, it's you don't have to use it. It's just a visual.
No, fair enough. I know what it's useful for, and it's striking that balance between saying to the audience, this isn't necessary. It's a flat Earth, straight up flat Earth proof. There's no globe involved. Brian making a diagram where he shows that the globe ain't involved isn't needed. However, will this come up in debate? Yeah. Will it be a useful diagram? Absolutely. Will it get used? Definitely. But does it mean that I'm not going to point out to the audience that it's surplus to requirements? There's no way around this. It's a flat Earth measurement. It's a flat Earth demonstration. It's a flat Earth prerequisite. Earth's being flown over flat. Planes would fly, will fall out the ground, fall out the sky, but for the fact that they're generating lift with respect to sea level. So it's a game over situation, and there's no need to say, look, this is how it doesn't work on a globe. But it will still be useful. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying don't present the pitch data first off and say nothing, but when someone wants to come up with absolute nonsense, you don't even need to say it. You can just flash that on screen, and it just shows how ridiculous their claims are. That is the pitch data amalgamated with a diagram that would show what 1,000 miles is on a globe, and that straight blue line would be the path of the airplane above that curved surface. Then you have the pitch data above that showing my point is, which one of those match? This blue line or this blue arc?
Well, the lines are off the graph, aren't they?
No, see the blue line, see the curve part.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But
there's a serrated blue line above that.
Before
right?
Before your curved line gets put on top of this graph, it's just the graph, isn't it?
Yeah, the word pitch and the red line and blue line, they're all part of the pitch data. The blue line I just put in just as that's zero. I placed that in myself just to show zero because that's the way I have to do it. But that on the pitch data is zero because you can just show the pitch data anyway. You're not going to show this first off. But I'm just saying this is a comparison of, like, the blue serrated line is the path the airplane actually took. The curved path line there, the arc line, that is what it would mean on a globe. You have the pitch above that showing the zero is the blue and the orange or red there is the actual pitch of the airplane above the 0. Then you have that serrated line showing that, right, and then you have the curved line. So which one of these two lines does that pitch support? Does it support the serrated blue line or the arc line?
That's where I was trying to answer you. Yeah, one's off the graph. It is the data. Which one represents it? The one off the graph.
No, but the point being is, I don't think you're listening to me. The straight blue line, right, at the bottom there, the straight blue line, the serrated line, that is a line off of a diagram, a straight horizontal. The curve underneath it, that straight line there, right, matches 1,000 miles, right, and the blue, the curved line is 1,000 miles on the globe, right. You have the pitch data above that. So which of these two lines does the pitch data emulate? Or which one of these lines emulates the pitch data? The blue serrated line.
Yeah, it matches the one on the graph. Yes.
But it's not on the... No, it's not on the graph. I'm showing you a diagram.
Yeah, please don't explain it to me a fourth time. Please. I got it.
I don't think you're getting it.
I do. I get it.
I don't think you do.
Oh, I don't need it a fourth time. I promise you I get it.
Go on then, tell me.
You're showing which of these blue lines represents a match with what would be the baseline on the graph that would be at the bottom of this pitch data, but you haven't put the bottom of the graph in. You've put two lines, one curved, one straight, with a serration in both. And you're saying which one, what references the graph best? Well, the flat straight one, because it's the same as the graph. That's it.
Yeah,
Not
that's
complicated.
Yeah.
Well, you explained it to me 4 times.
Hey, can we see that graph in the Discord?
Someone pop
chat?
it in Discord. It's in Master B currently.
Okay, cool. Yeah, someone could put it there. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Morning.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. I didn't know if we'd be having a show today. I'm expecting better internet to arrive in the form of a router that I've got to install when it does arrive. So, fortunately, it's an all-day call that's come after the show starts. So, nothing has changed. Everything's as it was yesterday, and we can have a show. Hopefully, it'll all go in nice and smoothly when it does arrive later today, and everything will all be normal for tomorrow. But in the meantime, we'll do a bit of housekeeping. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No, gas fills space.
What about any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Not that I can prove.
Oh, well, this is going swimmingly. We've got a Law Lodge video that we might cover. I was so reluctant to cover it yesterday. Fortunately, we had Angels of Light to cover. Brian, do we want to cover this Law Lodge video?
I've no idea that much.
It wasn't you that shared it. It was Liam, but he's not here to ask about it. But it was you originally that, I believe, put us in front of Law Lodge. Was it not?
Yeah, I did. I was the first person to note that he had been on the Flat Earth trail or attacking Flat Earth. I mean, he's always good to respond to. I mean, it would be entertaining. It's an entertainment what people mostly want. You can give them some information along the way, but most of the people just want entertainment. So give them the entertainment, maybe.
From an entertainment perspective, I suppose. From an education point of view, it's not necessarily the best material. However, we're going to be covering Law Lodge, it seems. Oh, it's not. It's on Unsubscribe Clips, which has got 74,000 subscribers. So I don't know if that's the other guys talking to. Who knows? Anyway, let Unsubscribe Clips know. Presumably, are they talking to Law Lodge on their channel then? I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. Either way, this is what I'm responding to. This is what Liam gave me as a link, and this is what I'm going to share. So please let the videographer know, whoever Unsubscribe Clips is, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I've just put a link in the live stream YouTube chat. So you can actually do this now if you are amongst the 29 people watching. Wow, how long have we been live? Oh, we've been live a few minutes. Fair enough. 33 watching. Oh yeah, it's rapidly going up because we've only just started. Why does it feel like we've been doing this for ages? Is it just me? Because I was talking to Brian before I started. That's what it is. It's your fault, Brian. It feels like we've been saying doing this for ages. We've been live for a prolonged period, and we haven't. We've only just started. Okay, anyway, please let him know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. There is a link in the live stream right now. Please click on it. Please leave him a nice comment. Don't swear. Just let him know I've done a response. And then they can come along, hear what we've had to say about them, and hopefully, if they were to make a response to us, they'd put a link to Nathan Oakley 1980 in the same way I'm doing for them. So there we go. Hopefully that's bought enough time for the limited audience that we have, as we've just started live, to actually pop along to this videographer's channel and let them know that I sent them with a polite comment that basically says, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, we responded to your video. Like I say, the idea being they did put a link to my video if he was to do the same and respond to us. We will see how we get on. Anyway, I've got nobody to ask because Liam's not here. So I guess we'll just get straight into it. I'll do a sound check as well, which I've not done yet. Let's have a listen, see how loud it is.
I've thought about this several times, that the modern flat earth was just the CIA's attempt at discrediting conspiracy theorists that worked too well, and now a lot of stupid people genuinely believe it.
So your idea is that flat earth was put into the notions and minds of people because it's an idiot idea, and then people went with it. This is a weird one. I'm going to ponder here immediately, right? In a way, this guy's right. And I am flip-flopping by saying that. Because 5 years ago, I'd have said, what an outrage, this guy's a dumbass. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The earth is flat, and I believe that's the case. It's got nothing to do with a CIA psyop. It's got everything to do with a psyop in regards to the globe. The globe is the psyop. The globe is the conspiracy. You've got it the wrong way around. That would be my attitude 5 years ago, just to put an arbitrary number on it. Now, I say, because Earth is measured flat, and furthermore, the one world religion is a globe, it is necessary to put out what we term the Feast of Nonsense as a propagandized version of a flat Earth, including but not limited to domes, ice walls, circumnavigating Antarctica, flight paths on azimuthal equidistant globe projections, stacks of false dichotomies, and then pepper that, or stir into the same pot, whichever analogy you prefer, a load of conspiratard nonsense, be it reptilians, Mandela effect, clone centers, and then on top of that, stir in a load of other conspiracies, possibly CIA-led, that people are familiar with from the last 10 to 20 years. Yep. So you stir all that in a big fat pot, and you end up with what we describe when it's slopped out on a plate as the Feast of Nonsense. And when this guy, who is absolutely ignorant and doesn't know that he's correct by accident, is correct by accident, because, yeah, there is a lot of nonsense that 90%, if you're going to put an arbitrary figure on it, of flat earthers are like, because they've followed the Feast of Nonsense garbage that's spewed to them about the world they live in. 10 years down the line, we're talking about how Earth's measured for everyone, including globe believers, to create the maps and mathematics to infer sphericity. So that's where we're at 10 years down the line, and we can only look back in anger and say, yeah, we were also victims of the Feast of Nonsense at some stage to some extent. So there we go. That was a bit of a long ramble.
I disagree with you there, Nathan.
Yeah, you can. Feel free.
Because that's not what the guy said. What the guy said is that Flat Earth was just put out there to take away the validity of other conspiracy theories. What you said is responding to something that he did say. Yeah, is there nonsense out there that's claimed? Is there a Feast of Nonsense out there that's attached to Flat Earth? Yeah, there is. Right? Do some of these flat earthers engage in conspiracy theories outside of flat Earth? Yes, they do. But what he's saying is that flat Earth was only ever put out there as a psyop to get people away from actual conspiracy theories that are true, like reptilians and I don't know, mud flood, whatever. I don't know, whatever nonsense is going on out there. All these things, cloning centers, all this Alex Jones stuff. So flat Earth was only put out there to get in the way of all that supposed truth. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, so 10 years ago when I first
false.
arrived here, you had a Tim Osman with a double S, not a Z, who took up the namesake of the character claimed to be Osama bin Laden. And his rhetoric when I first arrived here was as follows. Flat Earth is only here to muddy the waters of 9/11 truth. That was his rhetoric. So here we are, 10 years later, we're about to hear what Flat Earth's muddying the waters of according to these dudes. So let's hear it.
So the reason I'm hesitant on that one is that the original Flat Earth research, the International Flat Earth Research Society, founded in 1958,
big on levels,
peaked at like 3,000 viewers.
Yeah.
Like not viewers, sorry, members. Like, and basically what this was this dude, Charles Johnson, was sending.
This is an appeal to consensus fallacy. Might as well get that out of the way.
Out a magazine every quarter that he charged $25 for in the 90s.
Jesus.
Like, and he had 3,000. Think about it, 3,000 people.
God damn.
Yeah, I think at one point he was a monthly newsletter. So he was
a month.
He was doing it.
He was rolling in dough.
Who cares? What's this got to do with anything? Can somebody enlighten me? Or is it just the fallacy that I pointed out already?
I just want to point out, now I don't know exactly if the figures are correct as far as monetary stuff goes, but I know for a fact that Charles K. Johnson and his wife made a point of spending every bit of money they could get proving that the Earth was a flat plane. You know what I mean? They went around and did whatever they could at the time. Back in the 70s and 80s or 90s, whatever, they went around doing what they could. So this thing about how Charles K. Johnson was trying to, because he's trying to, from what I can get, is imply that Charles K. Johnson was possibly ripping people off. It's like, no, Charles K. Johnson didn't die a wealthy man in any way, shape, or form. If you look into his actual life, the internet has tried their best to scrub him out of existence. You know what I mean? Don't be telling me this guy who robbed a load of people and then went off into the sunset laughing. He didn't. His house was basically set on fire. And his wife then, who was got very ill from that, or was ill before that, died then as a consequence of that. And he didn't die with any great money in his pocket. Like, this is a complete character assassination on the man. That's what this is. Making him out to be some kind of a scammer. This guy is a fraud. Not Charles K. Johnson. This guy talking.
If you read the interviews with the guy, either he was like the original grifter or he was
750,000?
75 grand a month, 900,000 a year.
I don't know where they're getting their figures from. I never heard that figure ever in my life.
Who cares? Even if it was true, I couldn't give a crap.
Living it up in the 90s for 900 grand a year.
No, I get what you're saying. You're saying they're besmirching him and making him out to be something he isn't so they can claim he's a grifter.
I care a lot. And I tell you why I care a lot. It's because character assassination is what's being used against us for eons. Now, you should care about it too, because they'll do the same thing to you if they can.
Well, as far as the argument is concerned, I'm critiquing this from a flat earth debate perspective. It's non sequitur. It's a character assassination. That's an ad hom if he'd have even addressed an argument. He's not even addressed an argument. He's not brought one up yet. It's also an appeal to consensus if he's talking about the number of members that lend validity to the guy. Well, no, it's done as a character assassination. I was incorrect on my first bluff. But does it have any semblance of association to the argument? No. So I'm just going to stick by that. I'm glad you're interjecting with it because it is relevant. But as I said in the pre-show, we were talking about the final experiment, and he was like, I don't want to cover it anymore. I'm like, I'll cover it every time it comes up. And I'll say the same thing. It's an affirming the consequent fallacy on the side of flat Earth and globe Earth, so that they can mask for the globe. That's my bias. I don't think there is a bias. I actually think that Will Duffy's just figured out a way of monetizing two passionate groups of people. But that's just my opinion. Either way, that's actually what's happening, so it doesn't really need any justification. But when it comes to covering the subject, I'll just recover it in the same way. I'll say the same thing. It'll just get more and more concise. There are two affirming the consequent fallacies. One for the globe, one for flat Earth. They mask the assumptions that the globe make for antipodal positioning. That's it. It's not an experiment, therefore the entire process is fraud. There's nothing more to add, but that won't change. Nothing's going to change. The next time someone says, Will Duffy's done this, outrageous, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what, and is affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy for the globe and affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy for flat Earth stacked up in false dichotomy so that you can assume antipodal positioning based on a potential observed phenomena, stating it as science, as an experiment, when it's actually fraud. There you go, did it again. It's getting more concise every time. I'll do that every time that it resurfaces, because that's what we do. That's our subject. Yeah? As for this, the bit that preceded what I've just said, it's my opinion about whether or not Will Duffy's just grifting off both communities. He is. He's got two GoFundMe's going. He's got a whole bunch of people raising money to endeavour to take part in his exercise. From what we can glean, the amount that he's strapped on for connecting flights and hotel is double the amount the actual Antarctic trip costs. Okay? To me, this just seems like a straight-up grift. Now, beyond that, that's irrelevant to the subject matter. I can express my opinion at the start when people are interested in our opinions on it. But beyond that, which we've done at nausea, who cares what my opinion is? Does it matter if I think he's grifting? No. Does it matter if these dudes think that some guy in the past that was a flat earther was grifting? No. It has no relevance to the actual argument. Earth's measured flat, lads. You don't give a crap about Robotham or any of these characters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference to the arguments that we currently put forward, because they're not arguments. They're statements of fact. Earth's measured flat.
So here's the thing, though, is like he says that and he gives you these numbers, and you're like, okay, well then where are all of the other, like, where's all of your property? Like you have 3,000.
Who cares? Who cares where his property is? It doesn't matter. It's got no bearing on the subject at hand. This is completely non sequitur.
1,000 people paying you $25 every quarter. That's several $100,000 a year, and you live in a small house with a trailer outside of it on a ranch in California.
Right.
Like, you don't have a bigger house. You don't have more stuff going on. You don't.
So what? Who gives a crap? It does not have any bearing on the subject.
Have a nicer car, like, a little weird. I don't think he ever had that many people, and of course, all the records burned in a fire.
There we go. Back to what I said originally now. So he's now turned it into an appeal to consensus fallacy, hasn't he? I don't think he had that many people. I don't think he had that much support, because how much support he has is relevant. It's not. It's an appeal to consensus. You demeaning your original appeal to consensus after trying to turn him into a grifter has no bearing. It's non sequitur. It's just a string of fallacies.
In
it's just another character assassination, Nathan.
Yeah, with a string of fallacies.
He's either a robber of money, of people's money, or he's a liar. It's either he's a robber of people's money, or he's just lying all the time. He never had all those people. It was all a big lie. It's like one or the other. So no matter what, Charles K. Johnson was a fraud, according to this guy's estimation.
He dies in 2000, and the Flat Earth Society ceases to exist. It's gone. The International Flat Earth Society, he had all of the mailing lists. He and his wife are both dead. They don't get passed along to anybody, because who the hell wants the Flat Earth Research Society member list?
I want that fucking $900,000 a year, but
I want it now.
You love flat earthers, right?
I hate them.
You love them.
I need to be clear that when I say I hate them, I don't.
What? Why? I don't hate anybody. Anybody on this panel?
Everything you need to know.
Oh, God, of course. Go ahead, Neil.
Sorry, but he said he hates us. That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah. Who here has a hatred for anybody? Does anybody have hatred for another human being? Doesn't have to be flat Earth or globe Earth, just anybody.
Oh, I absolutely do, but not for. No, I don't hate the globe side.
Who do you hate?
Like that.
Who have you got hatred for? Hate's a powerful word.
Personal. Yeah, that's personal. But the point is that I do have hate, but not for the globe side. The globe, they're my opposition or my adversaries. I don't hate them all right like that.
Great, that was an unexpected answer. I mean, it's unexpected from him to say it, but for you to affirm that you have, I was saying it rhetorically. I wasn't actually saying. He's like, well, who have you got hate for? As opposed to tell me now who this individual is that you should have hate in your heart for. No. I'm just saying it surprises me that you answer yes. Anybody else? Is this a common thing? Do people hate others?
According to scripture, you're not supposed to.
I'm not asking that. I haven't got any hate. People have wronged me plenty, right? But I don't hate any of them, right? I look at them as dicks, yeah? But that doesn't mean I hate them. Hate's a really strong word, right? In my opinion, I'm smiling about it because this is surprising. Actually, is it that surprising that Brian has hate in his heart? Anybody else? Seriously,
Well,
I'm asking genuinely.
Hold on, I have hate too.
Who do you? Well, it's rhetorical again. Who do you hate? I mean, what? Oh, well, how wonderful. And I'm dropping frames. God, I'm glad I'm getting new internet.
Nathan, if someone gives you valid reason to hate them, then you're left with no choice. You can't love someone or care for someone or be indifferent to someone who's out to destroy you. They're your enemy, outright enemy. They hate you. They want to destroy you.
I don't know. Whenever
you can't treat that lightly.
Well, that's it. Whenever I feel hatred, to me, that is a feeling that has consumed me. Now, in the moment, don't get me wrong, I have had periods when I have despised enemies to the point where I would describe my emotion as hatred for that person. But it's very short-lived. But in those short periods, I felt consumed by hatred. And it wasn't a good emotion. And it's not something I want to feel. So therefore, when someone mentions it, I hate these people. Like, okay. Why?
Well, for him, his hatred is based out of the fact that we're pointing out things that he doesn't want to know about and pointing out things that he doesn't want to be true, but they are. He has a hatred for us because we're taking away the paradigm, the religion that he lives within that he doesn't even realize is just a religion. Right? We're taking that away. So I understand why he hates, hate is a horrible thing. I don't enjoy it. But I can't pretend that I don't hate my enemy. I do.
I'm going to do another quick
all day, every day. You know what I mean? It's not a fleeting moment.
So I'm going to do another quick call to action as there's almost 100 people watching now, and there was only about 30, 35 people watching when I originally called people to action. Let this videographer know it's not actually Law Lodge, it's on someone else's channel. But there's a link whizzing its way by. If you are in the live stream currently, please let this videographer know. It's called Unsubscribe Clips. That Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, or something to that effect. A polite comment with no swear words, basically, so that the YouTube algorithm or the videographer don't just immediately remove your comment. Just make him aware that we've covered his video. And hopefully, if he was to respond to us, he'd put the same effort into sharing my link to my video. Anyway, that's my call to action. Hopefully a few of you in the live audience will actually click on that link and actually let the guy know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, as opposed to just hoping everyone else in the audience will do it. But we are live now, so you can see the link going by. I've put it up on screen. If you are actually in the live stream chatting, just make an effort to actually click on this videographer's link. Share the YouTube love. Everybody likes getting more comments. Everybody likes getting more views. So this guy's going to be nothing but grateful that he's getting better audience participation. But for the fact that he had made this video, we wouldn't be covering it. And obviously, I want to share the love in a selfish way to a degree, because I don't share it back. Anyway, hopefully that's enough time for people to have actually done that. Play a little bit more.
I mean, like, haha, I think they're stupid. I don't like their belief. I don't like them as people.
Like, I just want to be abundantly clear. It's not that
You don't like me as a person? Really? As a person, I spend the majority of my day... Well, I was about to make it sound better than it is. Let's just not dress it up. Tidying up after two little sods that are really noisy and naughty, and generally dedicating my life to my wife and children. And my work life is dedicated to making sure the lights keep on and they're fed. So, as a person, I generally consider myself to be a pretty good individual. I don't go out of my way to harm anybody. I don't go out of my way to break any laws. I pay my taxes. I'm a pretty good upstanding member of the community. I put my library books back in on time. I mean, what else can I do as a person, but yet this man hates me? Why? Because I talk about how Earth's measured? Seems a bit extreme. I was right to call it and ask about people's hatred, because I was right in what I read when they said it. The disdain was really there, wasn't it?
But I disagree with them. It's that they don't go...
Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
I'm just saying he hates you. Have no doubt. Given the opportunity, if he had you strapped to a chair and he had a blowtorch, I have no doubt that blowtorch is going straight on to you. He hates you.
Yeah, just hate, but he said he hates us as people. Like, as people, well, if you're saying flat earthers as a stereotype, well, there's only one thing that associates them, and that's talking about Earth being flat, either by way of their belief or, in the case of us, by way of measurements. That's it. You unify your hatred against people based on them talking about Earth being flat? That's sad.
Go to heaven.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like cyclists. I'm assuming it was on a podcast or on
I did get into a bunch of Twitter fights with them.
Yeah. Well, that was part of the problem, because you had a lot of Twitter fights beforehand, and so you came into that loaded.
God, you guys are going to get along great.
The idea is to build a full size.
Still nothing on the actual debate, by the way.
I may have said that I think the world would be better off if all of them stopped breathing.
My favorite part, though, is...
Wow. Okay. I mean, I echoed this sentiment recently at the end of a discussion with somebody. I'm like, yeah, go away, drink bleach. And it's to echo this sentiment. Now, some people did actually contact me and say, no, I took that as literal. They're like, okay, I'm echoing a sentiment. In the same way when I'm swearing at somebody, it's typically because I'm holding a mirror up to their actions that they had against me 3 minutes earlier. Now, don't get me wrong, I appreciate that when I do that, it's going to be the case that some people just focus on my holding up the mirror. They ignore the reflection of the person I'm holding it up to and just focus on what I've said. Fine, but just so it's clear to the audience, this is a sentiment that I echo. Yeah? I'm showing the monster in the mirror. This is the monster. Now, when people hear me say things, I'll disclaim it again. People will hear me say that and assume that is my sentiment towards my opponent. It isn't. However, these people have hate in their hearts. They actually hate us. This man would actually, as Brian just described accurately, sooner see me not breathing. Those were his words. That's disturbing. What do I say when I critique Simon Dan? I say, it takes a bit of effort, I'll grant you, but I say, with my YouTube hat on, and with me sharing Simon Dan's link, I wish him every success as a YouTube videographer. I wish him my audience bestowing their views and comments upon his video with love, because I am a fellow YouTuber. I do not hate you, and I do not envy you beyond my wishes to be a successful YouTuber. So from that perspective, I wish I had as many views because I want to be a successful YouTuber. That does not mean I envy Simon Dan. Yeah, you could say I look up to him. Look at him, look how well he's doing. I wish I was doing that well. Good on Dan, lucky bastard. Well, that is not hatred. Saying I wish Simon Dan would not be breathing is hatred. I don't have that in my heart. I don't have that towards anybody.
But there's a couple of nuances.
Go on.
A couple of little nuances there. When you were putting on your so-called YouTube hat and saying, I wish Simon Dan the best and all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. What about all the people on your side that support you that do not support him because of what he does? I understand you not wanting to wish him ill will, but when you're wishing him good luck, what is that to all the people that support you? How does that? What are you saying to all those people?
I'm saying that I wish anybody who goes to the effort of making a YouTube channel and putting effort into videography the best of luck. Now, let's say for the sake of argument that Simon Dan wasn't a prick, and we collaborated and mutually grew each other's channels with the opposing side's audience because we both enjoyed interacting with one another. Then we'd have a symbiotic relationship that was beneficial. We don't have that. But that doesn't mean that as a videographer, only as a videographer, I can't wish him every success. I can, I do, I will continue to do so. Not least of which that it makes my point now. I mean, obviously I've utilised it to make my point. There is no hatred. When I'm saying it's non sequitur, that's the attack on a man's character who's dead. I point out that it's non sequitur to the argument. That is to say, I'm not interested in this man's personal finances from the past. I keep pointing out there's no argument here yet. Right? That's what I'm pointing out. Is that to be hated?
Yeah, just
go on.
Just real quick, Nathan. I wanted to point out, like, this guy from the Lore Lodge. He's apparently like this loving Christian and wears crosses around his neck. Just a bad example or representative, should I say, of his own belief. But also, that guy who said that, it's, you know, as he debated a while back, one of your, you know, Witsit, and like you can see his hatred for Witsit, like in the video. I don't know if you watched that video when he debated him.
But that's understandable.
You can see that. Yeah, you can see though, like how you know, just they have a really really bad taste for whatever reason. It's really strange though. I'm just saying.
Well, Brian summarised it because we're opposing his religion.
Yeah, I mean, when you covered Nathan, you did cover a bit of that Lower Lodge versus Witsit, and it was a little bit of it was covered on Ballbusters, but you didn't go on. It got better as time went on. Like his hatred and rage came out further and further and further to the point where he imploded on screen and told Witsit to get out of his show. And he just didn't want to have anything to do with Witsit. The Witsit was just calm. Like, in fairness, Witsit just sat there calmly. He didn't have any. Witsit just kept calm and just left him off to make a fool of himself. It was easy work for Witsit. That's what it was, in fairness. And the guy was he imploded on screen. Like his hatred came out there on screen. You know, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and it's probably because if you think about it, like, he's getting his ego destroyed. Like, you know, how dare you challenge his belief, his core belief, and he's so arrogant that he can't be wrong. You know what I mean?
He's always pushing this. He's always pushing this, I'm a historian, I've got this degree, and that. He's always pushing this nonsense. And when he's shown to be wrong about something, and what he also does do is he'll get something off of Wikipedia and throw it out there as if it's fact. Do you know what I mean? This kind of stuff. He's dishonest. It's like, no, that is not fact. Do you know what I mean? And when he's corrected, he won't listen to it.
We're at the fucking ranch.
Yeah,
if we're at the ranch, like, we're debating flat earthers on Twitter using Starlink.
I love that.
Satellites.
I love this.
Do we, like, my favorite video is the one where, like, we're disproving it and they.
Okay.
That was kind of rude, Nathan.
Here we go.
Well, it was. I mean, you shouldn't do that to people who are here.
Do what?
You know, supporting you.
Do what?
You started playing the video over what was being said.
I thought you had finished.
It wasn't just me. It was someone else there speaking as well.
No, that was on their panel.
No, it wasn't. That was somebody here. Honestly.
Apocryphon, were you done? Don't be shy. Your mic's open, but nothing's coming out of Apocryphon. Okay. I mean, I'm sorry, Brian, if it felt that way. I didn't intend to. I'm just, like, doing what QE does. It's just a natural... If you've got the video up, you're just waiting for that pause to start playing again so you can start responding again. In either event, he's just actually made an argument. He argued, how could they have this discussion with us with an internet connection via Starlink. Ha ha ha. Satellites. That was pretty much verbatim, was it not? That's an argument,
Yes.
was it not?
Check.
Yes.
Mic check. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that.
We'll come back
I
to
guess
their
you couldn't hear
actual
me.
argument, even though we've been waiting however long the video is in a moment, because I've cut somebody off with my video and we've got a point. So go ahead.
Okay, I actually forgot now because I said it and then I guess you couldn't hear me, but it was just along the lines of just, I think I already said it though, the arrogance and their but then Brian said something, so never mind. I'm sorry. If it come back to me, I'll bring it up later. Sorry guys.
Okay, Starlink is the same argument as GPS. I got this argument from Brian, so just out of pure want to regain a bit of good faith from Brian, as he's just told me off. Perhaps you would like to debunk this, Brian. Is he literally not playing?
I'm not. No, I have gloves on me. I take the gloves off and get in and turn off mute. For a start, I'm not telling you off. I was just pointing out that comes across as rude to your audience. Right, that's all I was pointing out. Right,
Fair enough.
That's it.
Fair enough.
As far as Starlink go, they're going to have a sub point for each one of these claimed satellites, and that's going to be a right angle triangle between the observer, the claimed satellite, and the sub point. You know what I mean? Every satellite will have a sub point, and that sub point is the same as a GP for a celestial body, and it's all based. All the mathematics for it are all across a horizontal plane. They can then place a globe if they want in between you and how far away they say that satellite is. But the actual measurement of the altitude or elevation of the satellite will involve a big, massive right angle triangle.
Right. Did you see my Keplerian angles video that I found?
Yes, that was very good.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Yeah, because they actually can't do the maths, because the maths are a heap of rubbish.
Not only can they not do the maths, which I was unaware of, I mean, I thought I'd researched it reasonably well, and I thought it functioned, but it doesn't, and that's why. We'll get to this later. I might actually play this on stream. But what else did you notice? Where were the angles placed, Brian?
Oh, at the centre.
They're placed inside the ball. I mean, they make it tiny in the diagram, but as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is useful. Look at how these angles function. You've got angles coming from the centre of the globe to calculate Keplerian problems in this instance, right? Without giving too much detail. But as soon as I saw it, I'm like, right, this affirms exactly what we're covering currently. We're talking about Kepler needing a flat plane to derive this mathematical inference of sphericity to the Earth, violating the principles of the angles when they're measured off a plane. Now, when you infer that they're working with a globe wrapped around the angular measurement tool, you end up with a point in the centre of a sphere claimed to be the surface you're standing on, with the angles coming from the centre of it. It's always been this way. That's how Kepler did it. That's how it's done. It's always off a flat plane. So when we say we all measure Earth flat, including and not limited to globe believers' inference of sphericity, it has its origins in flat Earth measurements. Kepler's no exception. Now, I've been saying it, I've just never had any great diagrammatical examples, and then I found this little shorts video, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect.
That was my point many years ago when I was attacking Kepler and his analemma back in 2016, 2017, was that for him to do what he did, he had to refer to the original sun cycle, which means angles off of reality, which is a flat plane. He couldn't be, he like, that's all he did. He took what was supposedly the Copernican model, if that ever existed, and he amalgamated the original sun cycle, or the observed yearly sun cycle, right, that we can describe. He amalgamated that into the claimed Copernican paradigm, let's call it. And that's where you get your offset elliptical orbits and your 23.4 degree tilt of the globe, blah, blah, blah. But orbit of the sun, sorry, and 23.4 degree tilt of the globe. But that's why every time they do anything, they must remove all that nonsense and go straight to vernal equinox. Now, I wasn't making that point in 2016, 2017. I wasn't aware of that part. But the point I was making is that Kepler just had to back engineer reality and make it fit with a mathematical paradigm created by some guy called Copernicus, which means that he had to use Earth as flat.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? That was my point many years ago, because there's no other way to do it. You can't reference reality and reference the globe because it's not going to be there.
It definitely won't give you angles, which is what he's working with.
Exactly. And if you even look into how they do parallax with the sun or different things like that, like they have these big massive angles going off into heliocentric space, and they have a sub point for the sun somewhere in the middle of their vacuum. Do you know what I mean? With this kind of nonsense, it's so stupid.
Right. Let's get back into it. We might come back to that later if we get through this unsubscribed clips video.
And they do the light test, and they're like, if it's here, they'll see it. It's like, wait, we can't see it. Hold it up higher. They go like this.
He's talking about Jaren. Okay. So what does this demonstrate? Again, like with any of the parlor tricks that are used in terms of proving things like gravity, this demonstration by Jaren was also punted as being an experiment. So it's suggesting some sort of validity to firing a laser off and pointing it through holes. Okay. No worries. It's garbage. It's a parlor trick. It was used to demonstrate the incompetence of Jaren, if nothing more. Meanwhile, in terms of how we actually measure Earth and put it to practical use, we do it with things like elevation angles, referencing horizontal planes. That's how we actually utilize Earth. And if you want to claim Earth's a sphere, you'll use the exact same Genesis principles of a flat Earth and the measurements from that plane to create the globe. Now, those are stone-cold facts that don't require me to go out and do anything. So, what? Go out and get Jaren to go out and do some parlor trick and fail at it? So that you can have guys like this see him on Netflix and then mock, what, that we can't measure Earth flat, as Jaren's professing to do with laser lights and holes in cards? Alright, well, we already measured Earth flat. It's how we expanded the territories. It's how we navigate to this day. Check out the pitch data that Brian provided over on Ballbusters over the last couple of weeks. It's all we've been talking about. Earth is built upon, flown upon, navigated, mapped, charted, flat. I don't need to do anything.
It's like, we see it now and like,
yep. Well,
what?
One of my favorite parts was that maybe 10 minutes into the debate, we were like, all right, so, what I would ask then is, if the Earth is flat, then you should never be able to see
What debate? He's put a big jump cut in there. There was obviously a load of waffle that they didn't want in because there was a big edit.
the midnight sun in Antarctica, right? There should never be a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And he's like,
there should never be a midnight sun in Antarctica. According to who?
exactly. And as we've seen, there's never been a video showing one. They had a couple of them, but then they admitted they were fake. And we pull one up, and it's not the one that he said was fake. It's one that he admitted. He was like, yeah, that one's real, but you can't see the sun for most of it.
Because it goes behind clouds.
It goes behind clouds. Aiden proceeds to perfectly track in real time where the sunspot is behind the clouds, and the mouse comes out of the clouds on top of the sun perfectly.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And
okay. And is this going to be exampled? Because currently we've got something that's fraudulently claiming to be an experiment that suggests that we may see this observed phenomena in Antarctica. Are you going to explain how that actually proves something? Let's see.
The funny thing is that the video he's referencing, there's two problems with what he just said. First of all, they had to track it over a horizontal plane. That's a bit tricky for them. Secondly, if I remember correctly with that video, the sun moves west to east in the video, not east to west, according to what's written on screen. So
I don't know what video he's referring to. I mean, okay, regardless of the flaws that you can poke in this video, what does it prove? Okay, so let's take it as read. This man says he's arguing with a flat earther, and there's a contentious point about whether or not there's 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Okay. You say we looked at a video where there was. Okay. I'll take that as read. Now what? What does that prove? How does it prove it? Is he going to tell us? Let's find out.
And then Austin goes, well, yeah, but I mean, like, you can't see it behind the cloud. You don't know for sure. And we're like, you can see the sunspot, man. Like, it's there.
Literally.
Sorry, the debate isn't whether or not we can see the sun. I will accept that. I've just said I'll take it as read. What does it prove? You've got a whole group of people. You've got 6 people around this table. What does it prove? Explain to them how it proves something.
I'm using the mouse to circle it as it goes around.
Oh, it doesn't look like we're going to get an explanation as to what it proves.
Look at that. And then it comes out perfectly timed, and he's like, and it wasn't even like it was the second try or anything. Yeah. It was the first try.
Yeah. And then the whole the water thing.
Yeah.
That was entertaining.
Wait, was the water?
Whoa. Where's the example of what that proves? Do I need to break it down for them? Because they're not exempling how it proves something. Okay, well, clearly, as we're moving on, we'll just double check that they are actually moving on without actually using it as anything beyond a non sequitur. Because it doesn't prove anything at this point.
Water thing.
So,
God, dude, this is again. So when you have to this level, it's not conspiracy theory. It's fucking retards. It's when retards.
Okay, we'll get onto this projection later. It seems like we're whistling past what Antarctica's supposed to prove with this 24-hour sun circling above your position in Antarctica. Let's break it down. It's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy, regardless of which side you assert the observation on. If you are a globe believer, you will assert that if you assume you are antipodal, that is, dangling off the bottom of a globe when in Antarctica, then you will see 24 hours of sun. You see 24 hours of sun, therefore you're antipodal dangling off the bottom of a ball when you're in Antarctica? No, that's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. Same for the flat Earth side. If we observe twilight in Antarctica, then Earth is flat. We observe twilight, and therefore Earth's flat. No, it's the same exact affirming the consequent fallacy with just a substitution of the cause based on a phenomena that may or may not be observed. Now, why is it set up in this way? So it's called a false dichotomy. So is there a third option? No, there's only these 2 options that explain this phenomena. Well, how do we normally explain phenomena? Well, we'd put it through the scientific method. Oh, well, what's that? Well, the first step would be to observe the phenomena. You haven't got a phenomena unless it's an observed phenomena. According to the current expedition, they're going to check if there is a phenomena or not, adhering to step 1 only if you observe the phenomena. Step 2 would be to suppose a cause of the phenomena, otherwise known as an independent variable, with the observed phenomena being a dependent variable. Once you have a supposed cause of the effect yet to be validated, you have essentially formulated what's known as a hypothesis, an if and then statement based on cause and effect reasoning. If my supposed cause, then the effect we are studying, in this case 24 hours of sunlight. Now, once you've supposed a cause, formulated a hypothesis, you can then do something known as hypothesis actualization. That is called an experiment. Now, fraudulently, some grifter has come along and labelled a will we see or won't we see the sun doing 24-hour circuit an experiment, when at best it's a potentially observable phenomena, without any variation of presumed cause in a formulated hypothesis actualised by experiment. However, the expedition, end quote, fraudster Will Duffy, is being labelled an experiment, end quote, fraudster Will Duffy, to grift as much money as possible when doubling the amount it costs to charter a trip down there if you contact a travel agent. So there's a grift in the community based on a fallacy. Now, that fallacy is being employed here without the affirming the consequent of antipodal positioning being strapped on as a fallacious claim to be example that proves sphericity. It wouldn't. You would be assuming your outcome by suggesting that you're antipodal when in Antarctica to make this observation. But they didn't even example the fallacious reasoning of sphericity by assumption of antipodal positioning when they made their argument about whether or not a piece of footage did or didn't have the 24-hour sun observable in it. That becomes the debate when you're masking the actual assumption of antipodal positioning. Now, we can break down this fallacy, and we'll continue to do so every single time it comes up. Meanwhile, these guys, they didn't even example to their audience with any fallacious reasoning. I mean, surely a fallacious argument's better than nothing. No, we had half a fallacious reasoning with no conclusion, fallacious or otherwise. Moving on. Oh no, we've got gifted memberships to shout out. Shout out to Goldie McKiernan. Thank you very much indeed. She gifted a membership. Really appreciate the support. Thank you very much, Goldie.
Are given an inch in that book, and they will, no matter what you can show them proof, they are going to still deny it, no matter what. They're like,
well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is just his opinion, man. That was a whole load of word salad nothingness, wasn't it? Oh, you can show them evidence and they'll just deny it. Okay, that's just a baseless assertion backed by nothing. And then the guy pointed out correctly, yeah, that's just your opinion, man. Yeah, it is until he backs it with something. It's not even an opinion, it's a baseless assertion.
That's all that matters. It's your opinion.
Your opinion, man. I was going to say, do you want to explain the curve thing and then where it went for the over the ocean stuff?
I can't remember.
It started with him trying to claim essentially that it was all due to the refraction.
Which thing are you talking about?
Oh, wait, this was right before he.
This man really believes that the Earth is flat.
Oh, yeah. Well, no. Here's the best part of it. All right.
Yeah, let's just address that. He's talking about Whitsitt, and he's telling him that he really does believe Earth is flat. Well, I can't speak for Whitsitt, but whether or not Whitsitt's a believer in flat Earth doesn't alter what Earth has as measurements that are utilised, including, but not limited to, use for globe faith. So it doesn't really matter what his opponent in this instance believes. Now, it seems like they're going to start talking about curve and refraction, so I might as well just deal with that. The curve and refraction are both derived from measurements of a flat Earth. It's right there in Earth curve calculations, refraction or otherwise. You've got a surface level and eye level measurement to give you your height, to claim that at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, you'll have an Earth curve hill obstruction below surface level that must be measured for your height above it. Earth is measured flat for Earth curve inference.
Right. Here's my favorite part. After we finished the debate, I found out.
You can.
Sorry. Yeah. I just want to say, now, look, I don't want to be a broken record, right? And I don't want to do people's heads in. But unfortunately, it is one of those situations. Every single thing they've ever come up with that's supposed to support their paradigm, not only is it all, does the origins of all these things start with a flat plane, right? But besides all of that, every single bit of it means absolutely nothing, because airplanes, as we have proven, do not account for curvature. They do not address a curved spherical Earth. They address a horizontal plane Earth. There is no if, buts, or maybes. There's no way around that. Anything they say, everything they've ever said, means absolutely nothing. And I hate to be so cut and dried and to be so simplistic about it, but that is the truth. It's just that simple. Now, people will probably get sick of hearing that, but they have to take on board that that is the end of the globe. Like, there's no point in talking. It's boring maybe for people to realize that it's literally the end, but it is the end. How are you going to get past that? You can't. It's not defeatable. As Adam calls it, it's an absolute flawless victory. No way out of it, no way around it. Enough. So anything that these people say, anywhere through history, means nothing. all a heap of nonsense. Thank you.
Do you guys know the Audit, the channel that goes and like looks at police interactions and rates how they went?
Yeah, it was Cody. Are you aware? Cody, have you ever heard of a police breakdown?
He has a video breaking down how an arrest went, and the guy I was debating was the one being arrested.
Oh God!
Oh, I know the video.
At Curry's, we're doing everything we can to help you save energy.
Because when you save energy, you
Video you're fucking talking
by the
about.
National Park Service.
Yeah, they're in front of a gas station, right?
No.
Wait,
This
big
is
lightning
Mount
strike right next
Rushmore.
to me and now I've lost sound.
Okay.
Wait,
Can you guys still
No,
hear
this
me?
one, he gets arrested by
hear
the
you,
National
Nathan, yeah.
Park
And the
Service
video.
in
Guys
front
hear
of
me?
Mount Rushmore
Yeah,
because
Oh, I
he
can't
was
hear anything.
demonstrating in an
Hold on just one
area
second
where
while
you
I sort out
needed a
my audio
permit.
issue. Just one
Now,
sec.
right behind that
Please keep
area
talking, though, 'cause I think
was
it's
an
still
area
going through
where
to the
you
OBS
didn't need a
whatever.
permit, and he refused to move. Like, would you
video
like
was
to apply
playing,
for a permit right now? We could probably get it for you
playing.
today.
The
And he's
audio
like,
of the video.
no. And then he's like, do I need to explain the law to you?
I figured it out.
And then they proceed to be like,
I'm sorry, I left the video running as well. Yeah, I just had a massive lightning strike and then everything turned off temporarily. But I think because the computer's got a certain amount of residual power in the power supply, it didn't turn off. So everything else flashed off. But the computer, the one thing that normally would die, stayed running. Isn't that amazing? So, yeah, all my preamp, it was just my preamp turned off. So we're still running. But there is literally a lightning storm that's probably less than a mile away from me. So if this all shits the bed shortly, you'll know why.
It's not funny that lightning came straight after I mentioned the pitch data.
Yeah, it's God telling us something.
not really, sir. And he's like, well, show me the ordinance. So they show him the ordinance. They're like, well, show me the citation. So they show him the citation. It's
so-
like, show me the law.
So he's a fucking sovereign citizen too. Okay.
Yeah,
This makes perfect sense now.
And I'm just watching this, and I'm like, it must have been a COVID thing because.
What the hell is this non sequitur? What the hell has this got to do with anything?
What this is Lore Lodge, right? This Lore Lodge guy attempting to somehow be on this podcast or wherever else and do damage control on his absolutely abysmal debate against Whitson. Whitson absolutely humiliated him without even trying to do one, in fairness to Whitson. He didn't have to do one. Now, I'm not saying that I agreed with everything Whitson said or did or anything like that. I don't, but I'm just saying Whitson had easy work there. And yeah, that's what this is. This is damage control. You know, we've experienced it ourselves, you know, when one of the well-known ballers has a really bad debate against a good flat earther or just a flat earther. They're going around trying to do damage control. That's all this is.
Fair enough.
Everybody's wearing
that's a good
masks.
point,
It looks like it was 2020, 2021. He was wearing a lab coat. My guess is that he was up there giving some lecture on, you know, how the vaccine's got a microchip or something like that. And
and they made the earth flat.
Yeah, and he gets
COVID.
arrested by the National Park Service.
That's our new shirt, dude. COVID made the earth flat.
How can I have the flat earth?
They don't have an answer. We asked, it was the first thing I think I asked him was, what are the sun and moon and where are they? And he said it didn't matter.
He said it didn't matter. Why didn't he just say, I don't know? You don't know either. So this is presumably so that you can tell him what you believe the sun is. Now, the honest answer from me would be, I don't know what the sun is and I don't know what the moon is either. And neither do you. You're told that it's a burning ball of gas in a sky vacuum. That's a straight up second law of thermodynamics violation. So your belief in what you think the sun is violates the law of nature. Furthermore, in terms of where it is, you think it's in a sky vacuum at a set distance. Unless you're navigating with it, then it's an infinite distance. But that aside, when you're navigating with a flat earth and putting it inside a ball to delude yourself into believing that you're in a ball when you navigate with measurements of a flat earth with infinite distant stars, you in your crazy church-based model of the world being ball-shaped and moving around the sun still have your fundamentalist religious beliefs stuck with, oh my God, this lightning is going to cut things out. I can just hear it coming. It's putting me right off. I'm a little bit scared all my equipment's going to die. I'm really sorry. Oh no, the bit rate's going crazy. Everything's going nuts here. Maybe I should round out. Shall I quit while I'm ahead? What was I talking about?
Keep going. All that can happen is it'll stop.
All that can happen is
about it.
everything blows up and my livelihood ends. What was I talking about? Let's just see if I can round out. I've forgotten what I was just babbling about. Was anyone tracking with me? Presumably no one was listening.
You started off with critiquing the video, and then you trailed off and you started talking about your equipment blowing up. I don't know how we go in from one to the other.
You were saying you were talking about how the way he was going to put in his opinion of what it is, and you were saying like how it's a violation and where the sun and moon is and where it's at.
Oh right,
That's
yes, that's where I was going with that. Sorry, the distance that he's got has come from extrapolations from Huygens. Well, Huygens' extrapolation is based on Venus having a spherical R value that is the same as the spherical R value Earth was given after measuring it flat to get it. So the distances that he would infer when he asked Whitsitt, where is the sun and where is the moon? Well, in a sky vacuum violating natural law and based with distances off a flat plane angle extrapolation. So, me being honest, I don't know what they are or where they are. I just know that we measure Earth flat with them. Can you hear that? Can you hear that through my mic? It's probably actually my mic's too good to.
I can't hear anything, but you don't hear anything different.
Okay.
Just you.
Yeah, it's because my mic's set up to reject all of the sounds. That's why you can't hear it. It's an outdoor mic, so it's designed to work in thunderstorms with a giant sock on it and not hear the thunder. So it shouldn't be surprising that it's not picking it up. From where I'm sat, it's all I can hear.
Matter.
Yeah,
and then I asked him, what are the other planets? And he said, well, I said, when you look up into the sky and you see, other bodies moving around in space that rotate around the sun, what are these?
Well, no. You're rotating around the sun, Keplerian elliptical orbital motion. Yeah, that's the church's input when wanting to know where these lights in the sky line up in terms of their time for things like Easter. But those extrapolations came from flat Earth measurements. So you're reifying Keplerian motion into physicality. It's just mathematics. That's all it is. We're not moving around the sun just because Kepler's maths to attempt to better predict where the stars will be at given times has some out-of-the-box thinking where we're on a ball. No, in order to reify it, you'd have to square the circle of these measurements that give you these inferences of elliptical orbits, working from the centre of hell. We're not in a ball measuring angles of a plane in a ball for this to function. And it doesn't work on the ball because you're not getting angles to give you your orbits. So this is garbage, Law Lodge. You need to learn your own religion. Like I've learnt it, and Brian's learnt it, and everyone else here has learnt it.
I went through this with him in comments on his own channel, pointing out that he doesn't know his own paradigm. And I had to correct him on his own paradigm several times. And I didn't even comment much to me. He wouldn't even respond to me at first. No, it wasn't until after he set up his debate with Whitsitt that he decided to start responding to me. And he didn't know what he was talking about. He doesn't understand his own paradigm. Like, this is the problem with all these people. They're all arguing from a position, not all of them, but these type of people, let's say these type of people, as opposed to your McTowns or whatever, and even them don't understand their own paradigm. They're all arguing from a position that they don't understand. They don't understand their own position, yet they're arguing arrogantly as if you are the one with the best understanding. And you're just pointing out where they don't understand. And then they can't understand you pointing out where they don't understand. Like,
Dunning-Kruger deflector shields.
Yeah, exactly. They don't even understand where the claims that the sun is a big ball of hydrogen and helium plasma comes from. Not one of them that I've come across has been able to tell me where that started and how it started.
As you said, they're planets, what we call wandering stars. And I was like, okay, and what are they? And he was like, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Is
science. By the way, this is within the first 5 minutes.
Is the round Earth in the room with us right now? Like,
this is a classic. Those aren't real planets. That's not real communism.
I asked him how solar eclipses worked. He said it didn't matter.
Well, he did let it slip after you exploded why he is a flat earther.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, with Whitsitt, he's a true earther. You know, he's held up like he's actually in favour of flat Earth, but there's a whole bunch of them that are paraded out there. Regardless of how well he did with Law Lodge, it sounds like Law Lodge imploded as opposed to Whitsitt setting the fuse. But either way, he's not a flat earther. Whitsitt doesn't profess to know Earth's flat and give you measurements. He says things like Earth's measured flat occasionally in a long diatribal word salad, but he doesn't back it with anything as far as I'm aware. So it's just like everyone else. Believer.
The only thing is that, sorry.
Recently he did, though.
The only things that Whitsitt actually comes up with are like microwave distances and stuff like that. He doesn't generally deal with the terrestrial Earth. He's dealing with, something to do with light, because that goes back into an ether paradigm that he can then, somehow shoehorn that back into the ether. So he works with things like that mostly. Sometimes he'll come up with something like mechanical and that, but he aims towards stuff that he can shoehorn back into ether. So it's based around ether, not around the nature of reality and the Earth.
And it's not.
I listened to him. I listened to him, and he does actually say it's measured flat quite a bit nowadays. So I don't know. Maybe before he didn't used to do it, but I have heard him several times. He when he tells people it's measured flat, it's observed flat, treated as flat. Like he says the same thing, but I don't know.
Fair enough. I mean, Whitsitt's fairly adaptable, and if Whitsitt is actually describing how Earth's measured flat, then props. I want to like Whitsitt. I want to hear news like this. You know what I mean? So good. Excellent. Glad to hear it.
It's not actually even what we think it is to an extent. It's in the live somewhere, but essentially he says something along the lines of like, I'm tired of these like schools teaching my Christian children like all of this like atheist science BS. Yeah.
What are you talking about? Came from the Roman Catholic Church. Who was saying that to you? Because they don't know the history of it either, by the sounds of things. Yeah? No, it's come from the Roman Catholic Church. They controlled all the observations. They control all the telescopes. They're the ones paying the mathematicians to do this out-of-the-box thinking. So you're mixing it with the origin of this story of the globe came from and its measurements. They would be flat Earth measurements that created it. Go ahead. Was that Apocryphon? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, this whole debate that they had, or a discussion, it was just a circle jerk of arrogant pricks that are just pretty much reaffirming their bias and just bashing on people that think otherwise, but they themselves don't even know, like Brian said and you said already, they don't even know their own paradigm when it comes to it. But it's really like stuff like conversations like this, especially because they are calling themselves Christians. It's just really disheartening. I don't even know how their own viewers are like cool with it, to be honest, because they're self-proclaimed Christians. But I don't know. It's just really it's gross. It's bad form.
Yeah, and it's like essentially he went on this like very small rant, kind of like underneath, like in the background of like the whole debate that was happening, where it was like the whole reason that he was believing in flat Earth was because he began to mistrust science because it was atheists, and now with how divided politics has become, he's like, oh, well, if they're going to lie about everything, it probably goes down to the shape of the Earth, which
is crap logic. Is he suggesting this is Whitsitt's argument? Just doesn't sound like Whitsitt, as bad as we sometimes critique Whitsitt to be.
I can't say I ever heard Whitsitt say that.
You have?
No, it doesn't mean he didn't. No, I can't say I ever did.
No, me neither.
Doesn't mean he did, but I didn't.
No, well, that's it. It doesn't mean he didn't say it, and I'm not saying it. Just sounds like a straw man representation of what Whitsitt may have said in some vague semblance that he can remember and has digested into his own globy little manner. But I don't know. Let's just listen one more time. I don't normally rewind. I just want to digest that again.
And, now with how divided politics has become, he's like, oh, well, if they're going to lie about everything, it probably goes down to the shape of the Earth.
Which is like, yes, question everything. No, don't deny everything.
Yeah.
Because...
Okay. I mean, question everything in this context would be science, right? And you're saying the opponent denies it because he's... I think if it is Whitsitt they're talking about, I mean, this is edited, so they could be on the context of someone completely different, but it seems like they're talking about Whitsitt as Law Lodge brought him up. So I'll just respond as though it is and say, well, Whitsitt's got this argument about science being scientism, and it isn't. Science is a method, and the method implies offers empirical outcomes, which is powerful if you want to infer that you've got an empirical outcome when you haven't performed the method I described earlier. Cause and effect reasoning based on observed natural phenomena with supposition of cause in a hypothesis actualized by way of experiment. That's the scientific method. And that offers empiricism. If you don't have it, you just have to say some of the magic words like Fraud Will Duffy does when he uses the word experiment. That would be hypothesis actualization if he's actually performing natural science. He's not when he goes to Antarctica to see if he may or may not observe a phenomena. Step 1 at best. But if you say the word experiment, people think it's going to have an empirical outcome. It's a hijacking of the terminology. So if that was what I strongly suggest might be a strawman representation of Whitsit's argumentation, because I know Whitsit is an advocate of the scientific method to a certain extent. So I can't imagine him being in such an egregious position to deny it in the way that it's been postulated here by this guy. But I haven't got Whitsit's exact words that he's referring to, and he's not quoting him verbatim. So we can only do with that what we can do.
Yeah, but this is...
There's some stuff you're just like...
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's be honest. What is this? This is a group of guys sitting around who are basically doing their best to avoid reality. That's what's going on. And they'll do whatever that it takes at present to do that. I mean, all you could do is, if you want to offer someone some empathy, just remember that the time is coming in these people's lives where they will have to accept that they were wrong. Right? They have to.
I think you said it best, Brian. It's damage control. I think you said it best earlier. It's just all damage control because their audience, they need to push it because they got destroyed in the debate. So they're just doing damage control.
I don't think you flew here, right?
Yep.
You fly him to a debate and tell him, by the way,
that's what I'm like.
You're 3 hours in, look out the window.
Oh, so that's your standard, is it? Look out the window. What, at a horizon that's being utilized for building things, navigating, mapping, charting? That horizon. What about it? You're going to example what we're going to do with that horizon that's very useful for referencing horizontal, and is. Because we talk about flights too. The difference being that we talk about pitch data and how it proves Earth's flat. How you nose up with respect to horizontal for a 2-hour flight. You guys think you just have to glance out the window. Do you want to give us a practical example where glancing out the side window of an aeroplane was ever utilized for anything ever? It wasn't. It is being utilized for you to assert and reaffirm your fundamentalist religious zealot belief in a globe Earth by looking out a window. But there is no practical application for the horizon that you're looking at. Meanwhile, horizons are definitely utilized for establishing horizontal planes. That's how we utilize the horizon. In a very practical way. In a way that could save your life at sea if you were lost. In a way that, although utilizing a bubble for the same horizontal plane of reference parallel with the ground, may very well be utilized in the aeroplane were it to get lost. They carry bubble sextants on aeroplanes to this day. Just in case. Just in case they need to measure Earth flat to find their position parallel with the ground. Now, you can only measure things parallel with the ground if the ground's flat. But that's how that principle of navigation is utilized to save lives. What's that? Have a look out your little window? What a wonderful little proofsy you think you had there with a horizontal. That's the horizon. What, and how much it bends? Dum-dum. I'm thinking no.
Once. There is somebody actively right now running something they're calling the final experiment, which I personally believe is an unfortunate name that they should not have gone with.
Oh, right. I wonder why he feels it's an unfortunate name that they shouldn't have gone with. I wonder if he employs the same logic of fraud, which is to say it's not an actualization of a hypothesis based on a natural observed phenomena. It's a potential observed phenomena at best. Let's see what his logic is in terms of it not being the best terminology for a naming structure. Let's see what Law Lodge says.
About to make that joke, dude.
Hasn't one died going, like he took a balloon or a rocket up?
Sounds about right, probably.
I think
Up? What do you mean up? Like with elevation respect to sea level? That kind of up. You don't have up on a ball. This clown doesn't listen to evidence. This was the charge that he gave us earlier, by the way. Does he? Up. You don't have up on a ball, dum-dum. You've got out and in only. Up for the balloon's elevation would be with respect to sea level. That's a flat Earth prerequisite that you got there. For height, you clown. Stop using flat Earth measurements to claim that you're on a ball by looking at a horizon that does not bend. It's a horizon. Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, I thought you were after kind of stopping for a second there. I didn't realize you were going to continue
That's
on.
rude.
So
That's just rude.
Yeah, it's just rude, plain rude. But that's who you're dealing with. That would be an altitude. If we're talking about an airplane, that'd be an altitude. The up part, that would be altitude. Altitude is parallel to sea level. And altitude is also parallel to the horizontal that is created by the gyro. That horizontal that the plane always has an above horizontal pitch of, as the pitch data shows. So no matter what way they twist or turn, any direction they go, there's no doors or windows. Every part of that room is just solid concrete.
Oh, but Brian, when I look out the side window, it looks a bit curvy.
Yeah, like, there you go. If that is your, like, I've never seen that now myself, but if it doesn't really matter, look out the window and see the globe. That's what they're telling you. Yeah. Now, nobody's ever actually done that because you can't, because there is no globe. But they have believed in their head they looked out the window and saw the globe. And that was a time when they weren't even looking out the window. It's purely
Hey, Brian,
Go on.
I'm looking out the window of my car and it seems curved.
Yeah, meanwhile,
that's a
we've
new
got
standard of evidence.
Yeah, it's not a standard that you can adhere to. Pitch data with respect to a plane, heights above sea level, elevations, heights of balloons that go up. These are all flat Earth prerequisites. They're describing altitude. Pitch is describing nose up elevation with respect to a plane. We've got documentation that is utilised by the NTSB when investigating air crash. So, given that it's life or death and high stakes are ascribed to this data that unequivocally demonstrates Earth is flat, I'm going to go with the practically used flat plane that's utilised and referenced in those charts, in those graphs, in those maps, with the stars, with the measurements of Earth being flat. That's what I'm going to go with, because those are all facts. What's that? Look out the little window! Yeah, that's not going to cut it, lads. Really not going to cut it. Earth's measured
So
flat.
will they.
Trump that. That's why you hate me, though, isn't it, Law Lodge? This is why you hate me. Because I can demonstrate that Earth is flat with measurements and facts that are not contestable in any way, shape, or form. You're going to tell me that the pitch data used by the NTSB with reference to a flat plane and the pitch above it isn't flat. No, you're not going to do that. It's not contestable. What are you going to do? Tell me that the elevation angles used to create the charts and maps we navigate with aren't angles. No, you're not going to do that. These are uncontestable flat Earth measuring facts. But that's why you hate me, isn't it, Law Lodge? It's pathetic.
It's worse than that, though, Nathan. The reason that he chooses to hate, let's just use you as an example. It could be any of us, but let's just use you because you're a figurehead, a well-known figurehead. The reason why he would choose you, or Witsit, let's just say, to hate, is because he doesn't have the backbone to just accept that the people he should have a problem with, which are lawyers in places like NASA, right? He doesn't have the backbone to address them. He doesn't have the backbone to address reality and then address them. It's easier to just hate you or Witsit or whoever else than it is to actually address reality and have a backbone and address the people that are really responsible.
I think you're one step ahead of where he actually is. I agree. But that would be one step later. He hates himself. This is pure projection. When he describes his hatred for us, it's his hatred for his own ignorance, for his own failings, for his own inability to square this circle. That's what he hates. The real reason people despise us is because we do what I described right at the beginning of this show. Hold up a mirror to their own ignorance. That's what we do. And they cannot bear the idea of that which they have adhered to, that they have invested in, being wrong. It is a pride issue. He can't possibly be wrong, and the slightest idea that it could be the case is projected immediately onto the person that's highlighting it. You can't internalize it. He's got no humility. It's Pride. That's the problem.
You're correct. I stand corrected. That is exactly the problem. He hates himself because he hates the fact that he knows deep down that he's been duped. And he can't handle that he's been duped because in his mind, he's a really, really super smart and intelligent mega historian or whatever. And this can't happen to him in his own head.
Yeah, this would mean he was stupid.
That doesn't make any sense.
It does. It makes total sense, Neil. In his mind, if he's shown to be wrong, he's shown to be wrong. That means he didn't get it right. He's not smart. All the things he prides himself on are relinquished. His education in heliocentrism specifically is a heavy investment for most people. They just don't realise they're investing in this. You're being put on a production line, and the investment of time that you put into it.
You're going to continue in fallacy then, really?
Yeah, pride. I'll just explain this. Listen back to the show, Neil.
One flat earther like rode a rocket or did something where he went up to
up with respect to a plane. Is altitude described with respect to sea level?
Prove that there was a curvature on the plane of
A bit like looking out the window. Is that what he went up for?
Wow, it really seems stupid when a flat earther does this. Meanwhile, we've been flying around the globe for a long time. No, we haven't. We fly with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. We've got pitch data to prove it. It's from the NTSB. It was supplied to them when doing air crash investigation. So, given that it's life or death, I'm going to go with the pitch data. Not with Mad Mike and not with you looking out of an aeroplane, neither of which have any practical application whatsoever. But we're definitely navigating and aviating with respect to a plane. That much goes without question. It is unchallengeable. What was it that Adam called it? It is a flawless victory for us on a flat Earth.
And he died.
Yeah, wasn't it the Chinese guy in the chair full of fucking fireworks?
Is it just me, or is this muscles with tattoos laughing at Mad Mike's death?
Wait, didn't he build his own rocket, but then like his parachute failed or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like a dude was like, look, curvature, and then the parachute.
Hilarious. So the guy falls to his death. I mean, on shorts, I recently saw a guy that was about 86 in his Spitfire or whatever it was, American equivalent. I think it was a Mustang. And he's doing loop-de-loops, and he gets one wrong and crashes. And underneath, there's loads of comments saying he did what he did and he enjoyed it, and at the end of his life, he was doing what he loved, and what a shame he didn't pull out at the right time, and all of these sorts of comments. Mad Mike dies. Ha ha ha, flat earther died. Yeah, I'm glad he ain't breathing no more. Sorry, are these Christians?
Well, this is the thing, right? They want to point at people who are easy to point at. I don't even think Mad Mike was even a flat earther. I don't think he cared, right? He didn't even only go up with 2 miles in the sky or something. Well, airplanes fly at between 5 and 7 miles. You know, he didn't even go even high. Like, the whole purpose of it, he was using flat earth. He put it on the side of his rocket purely just for advertisement, and he was getting money out of it and whatever else. You know, he was advertising flat earth. It was helping him with what he wanted to do. The man did what he wanted to do. He died doing what he wanted to do. Good news to him. I mean, why would they laugh at him? Why are they laughing at the guy? Because he is claimed by the media to be a flat earther, because they're making him out to be, you know, they're making all flat earthers are kooky idiots who do crazy stuff and then die, and everyone should laugh at them. This is the strength of their argument: laughing at someone who died.
It's like, fuck, I'm a retard and hit Earth and died. God, I
didn't go to heaven.
No, it's the whole thing is just.
Oh, I hate this as a whole thing.
Yeah,
wow.
Sounds like a bunch of demons, to be honest. A lot of demons laughing and taking pride.
Did you know
in
too?
the
We
fact
have their
that
own range of.
somebody died.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's they're like heckling and like it's just demonic. Like they're all taking joy in someone dying. Like regardless what you believe in, like when you're laughing and mocking and like I hope they, you know, we'll see what happens when they pass away and they got to talk to their creator. Whatever, it is what it is. They're not even Christians at this point. They're just because I put on a jersey that says Lakers doesn't mean I'm a Laker player. I'm just saying that. Like, these guys are not Christians by definition. I don't think anyone would even define them as so. So I don't know. It's frustrating.
I don't know about that. They accept Son of God, Jesus Christ, as their Lord and Savior. If the answer is yes, then they're Christians.
Yeah, well, then you wouldn't be laughing at somebody dying.
Well, in the end of the day, their faith doesn't really matter. What matters is that they wouldn't normally die at someone crashing in the way that Mad Mike crashed. But because Mad Mike is a flat earther, it's okay for them to laugh at him. That's all that matters, isn't it?
Right. Very sad. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
To laugh at him dying because he's a flat earther. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of any other faith issues, it's okay for them to laugh at him because he's a flat earther. Even, like, how many people of the claimed Christian faith would laugh at someone dying because they're a flat earther? There's a lot of them out there at present. These are not, this group here are not, they're not insular. If you understand, if you know what I mean, they're not an exception. There's plenty out there who would laugh. Because the hatred for flat earthers and flat earth is greater than their faith, their Christian faith, because their true faith is heliocentrism, not Christianity.
Yeah, good point. That's their God is the Baal, or should I say Baal? That's who their God is.
Wow, Brian.
And
that was good, Brian.
But that's it. If they're willing to look, if anyone's willing to forego Christianity or Islam or Judaism or Hinduism, whichever, if they're willing to forego the basis of those faiths for something else, then that something else is more important. And especially if that thing is a belief. And obviously, their belief is heliocentrism, and their religion is heliocentrism, not Christianity. They don't even realize probably that their religion is heliocentrism. They think they're Christians. They don't actually know. That's the beauty of heliocentrism. You're part of the religion without even knowing. And you'll defend it with your life without really even knowing that you're defending a man-made mathematical religion.
Yeah, and you don't even care that you're offending God when you're laughing at somebody that dies because your God is the ball.
Well, their hatred and panic, it's a panic as well. How much panic do they have inside them when they think about this topic and us? That's a panic that creates hate. And so they hate us, and their hatred of us attacking their core belief, which is heliocentrism, causes them to override their secondary belief, which is Christianity or Islam or Judaism or whatever. Because what they are is they're you know what they are? Remember the movie They Live, where you have people going around acting as if they're normal, but they put on the glasses and they see the person is not normal, the person's alien or whatever. Well, that's them. They're going around pretending to themselves and everyone else that they're Christians, but if they put on those glasses, they would see in the mirror that they're actually heliocentrists. It's even worse than They Live because they don't even know that they're actually not Christian or whatever faith they hold. They don't know. Because they don't even spot. They've just thrown it all out the window. Go on.
The fact that they started that entire interview with "I hate flat earthers," and I mean, if any Christian was to hear that, a real Christian, one that knows the scriptures, they're going to remember that it says in the scriptures. Like, how can you say you hate your brother but say you love God? And then it says if you hate your brother, then you hate God. You can't do that. And it's interesting. I paraphrased it and butchered it, but it's along those lines to where you can't say you love God and you're over there being a devoted Christian, you love God, but you hate your brother. Like, no, these guys are frauds. They're grifters at this point as well, because they're doing it knowing that they're wrong, or maybe they don't think they're wrong. So maybe I can't say that. But
yeah, but
everyone looking at them knows they're wrong, though.
Yeah, but they don't know. It's like let's just say you have a best friend and you love your best friend. He's the best ever, right? But you don't love him as much as you love your wife. And if something happens between your wife and your best friend where they have a little disagreement or something, you will take your wife's side because you love her a bit more. Maybe a lot more. They don't realize that their wife is heliocentrism and their best friend is God. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
In that way. So they're taking the side of the one they love the most, the one that they cherish the most, the one they can't lose. In their mind, they can't lose the most. They're taking the side of that, which is heliocentrism in this analogy.
Well,
that's what they're doing.
That's why I said. Well, that's why I said their God is Baal, because that's why I said that, because they are clearly putting that God before anything,
But
even to a point
Baal.
to where they're gonna laugh at somebody.
It's not even
dying.
that. But it's not even that, because that would tie into Christianity. They've completely foregone Christianity. You can't even tie Christianity into this now, other than they've completely foregone it. They are defending their core religion, which is heliocentrism, the one they've been taught since birth, and that's what they're defending. So it's not even that they're working for the devil and don't realize it or any of this kind of stuff. No, all parts of Christianity are gone. That is out the window. All that matters is heliocentrism. You can't even tie Christianity into it because they've foregone it.
I still think the whole heliocentrism is a demonic teaching, but that's my personal opinion. People get frustrated.
Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. It doesn't need to be. Men are evil on their own. Men don't need help to be bad. You know what I mean? Some men do, but some men don't. You know what I mean? Some men are just opportunists and don't care. You know, some men like having power. Some men want to manipulate, have power, and they pass that power down to their children and their children's children and whatever else. And that's what they want. And that's what they'll do. And if that means keeping the world, controlling the world, manipulating the world, keeping the world stuck within a religion they don't even know they have, they're all happy with that. Because men will do bad all on their own. I'm not saying the devil doesn't offer men temptation or anything like that, but men don't need that influence to be bad. That's why you have free will, isn't it? I'm not trying to attack you on what you're saying. I understand from your Christian faith, you're going to tie it directly into that. All I'm saying is, in situations like this, I think you should separate your faith from these people completely, because they don't actually hold your faith, and separate it from the issue. Because the issue is, it's up to you, it's your opinion, but you do what you want. But the issue is that they have a mathematical religion that they are going to defend with their lives, and they don't even know why they're doing it, or that they have it. I wonder if you put a poll out there. Well, an interesting poll would be interesting. How many people would be okay in the world? How many people in the world would be okay with killing every flat earther that exists? Which would be a very small number in comparison to the amount of people out there who would be global believers. How many people would be okay with that? I'd say the results would be shocking.
Let's just rephrase that slightly. How many people would agree with Law Lodge's sentiment about breathing? Just keep it a bit more vague, if you don't mind.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I apologize. Yeah.
That's all right.
How many people would agree with that sentiment? Yeah. I'd say results would be shocking.
Outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is outrageous how fast they would want that kind of an outcome. That is outrageous. Apologize about that, Nathan. Big time outrageous. But I predict that the results will be shocking. Let's just make it a little bit more hypothetical, right? Let's make it more hypothetical. And this would be better, actually. This would be a better poll. How many people would be okay with moving from the paradigm we're in to a new paradigm where flat earthers don't exist. Let's say a new dimension where there is no flat earthers. How many people would be happy with that? That'd be an interesting poll, wouldn't it? A whitewash.
A new internet just arrived. Ray.
Yeah, but what has that got to do with the poll, Nathan?
That means he's ending the show, Brian.
I'm unboxing it. I'm on camera just opening the box, actually. So you feel free to
It doesn't mean that, Neil. Don't allow that to be anything. It does not mean that. I'll have to step out in a minute to make a phone call, and I don't want your negativity to give this man any crazy ideas.
Oh, boy.
Is Kiwi there? He's around somewhere.
He just joined, so yeah.
I
just woke up.
Well, I'll say something. You won't have to talk. You won't. I don't expect you to respond.
Good, thanks.
You're welcome. Earlier on, I didn't stop the show, but I took a brief reprieve of the show, and I said everything that was ever said concerning a globe, every supposed piece of evidence for a globe, every heliocentrist that ever existed that's ever said it's a globe, and they ever came up with, anything they presently go on with, and anything they will go on with, all means absolutely nothing. Because the pitch data from commercial airliners prove, or from all planes, prove the Earth is a flat plane. Meaning all of their stuff is out the window. Every single bit, forever and always. Straight after that, there was a lightning strike, right? And everything went out. But Nathan's computer kept on going, and the show kept running. Right where Nathan is.
Yeah, everything. I was off mute. Sorry, you were in my boxes banging. I'm really sorry. Yeah, I was doing the show, QE, and then suddenly everything turned off. The lights all went out. The monitor flashed off. Everything's all buggered, and I'm like, oh great, well that's the end of the show. And then it all came back on again, and the show was still running. I just lost sound because the preamp had turned off. I'm like, oh, everything seems to be still running. So I think there's enough power in the PSU of the computer, even though the power temporarily cut off, it kept it going. Just for a split second. Very cool.
Nice.
No, God kept it going.
No, my 750 watt power supply kept it going because this show probably uses about 50 watts.
Well, talk about ruining a good story.
Right.
Yeah, Nathan's like the guy on Pulp Fiction. He's John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, denying the miracle that happened.
You think God came down and stopped these bullets?
Yeah. He measures the fish, and it turns out it wasn't 3 foot long. It was only 1 foot 2 inches. Boring. Can it not just be 3 foot long and everyone just go, yay, 3 foot? Right? Who cares? You know what I mean? It's just, you know what I mean? Just allow the miracle to happen, even if it's all made up.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Indeed. But with that, I am going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.